Hey there, I'm Dr. Leona, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Heal Deal podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about something that affects every single woman, yet somehow still lives in the shadows of mystery, stigma, and a whole lot of misinformation: the struggles of midlife and menopause. If you're in your 40s or 50s and feeling like your body has turned against you, if you're exhausted, even after a full night's sleep, if you've noticed stubborn weight around your middle that just won't budge, or if you've been told by your doctor everything looks normal when you know deep down that it's not, then you need to listen to this. Here's what I want you to know right now. What you're experiencing is real, it's valid, and it's not something you should have to accept as your new normal. But let me be clear about something. I'm not here to tell you that the transformation is going to be easy or comfortable. Our society has trained us to avoid discomfort at all costs, to reach for the quick fix, to stay passive and comfortable. But real healing, real metabolic transformation, that requires leaning into the growing pains. There is a crucial difference between unnecessary suffering, being dismissed, ignored, or told your symptoms are just in your head, and the productive discomfort that comes with real change. I will never ask you to tough out being told that feeling terrible is just a part of being older. That's not growth, that's negligence. But I will ask you to tough out the discomfort of changing your relationship with food, of prioritizing sleep when it's inconvenient, of setting boundaries that might make others uncomfortable, of advocating for yourself when it feels scary, because the women who transform their health in this season aren't the ones who found the easy path. They're the ones willing to do the hard work that real change requires. For too long, women have been dismissed when it comes to menopause. Symptoms get chalked up to just hormones. Questions get brushed aside with it's just part of getting older. But most of us were never prepared for what this transition actually looks like. But here's what I believe. Midlife isn't the beginning of decline. It's an opportunity for a reset of your hormones, your metabolism, your energy, your health, your mind, and your body. In this conversation, we're going to cut through the myths, shine a light on the truths no one told you, and equip you with strategies to navigate this stage with clarity and confidence. So let's begin by asking, how did we get here? And why has menopause been so misunderstood for so long? Welcome to the Heal Deal podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leona Allen, and I'm here to help you achieve more freedom in your health and your life. I'm the founder of Freedom Health Systems, and I've been a licensed chiropractor and wellness coach for over 2 decades. I've helped men, women, and children transform their lives by removing the physical, chemical, and emotional barriers to natural healing. Every week, I'll be taking you on a journey where you will discover the real truth behind what it takes to heal your mind, body, and soul. Allow me to be your guide as you travel this road to renewed health and a new life. It's time to make a deal with yourself to heal yourself. Please keep in mind that this podcast is for educational purposes only and not to be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis or treatment. With that said, let's begin. Let's start this conversation with some truth-telling about how we got so confused about menopause in the first place. The word menopause itself didn't even exist until the early 1800s. It was coined by the French physician Charles Pierre-Louis de Gardin around 1820. Even the roots of the word tell a story, from the Greek men, meaning month, and pausis, meaning pause, literally the pause of the monthly cycle. But here's the thing. The ancient Greeks had no specific term for menopause. There was no scientific understanding of the symptoms, no framework for supporting women through this stage. And when menopause finally got its name in modern medicine, it was still wrapped in stigma. Before the 19th century, this transition was often described in ways that were demeaning and fear-filled. It was called women's hell, green old age, and the death of sex. Imagine going through the most dramatic transition of your adult life, and the story told about it is that you're in decline, less valuable, or somehow broken. And it didn't stop there. During the Victorian era, menopause was misunderstood as a form of pathological decline. Women were labeled unstable, accused of developing abnormal physical signs, or even diagnosed with mental illness simply because they were in midlife. Misdiagnosis and stigma were baked into the culture. Over time, the stigma transformed into something else: medicalization. Instead of being seen as a natural life stage, menopause was reframed as an estrogen deficiency disorder. Suddenly, everything from osteoporosis to heart disease to Alzheimer's was pinned on postmenopausal estrogen decline. And yes, hormones do play a role in our health, but this reductionist approach missed something crucial. When menopause is treated only as a problem of deficiency, the message women receive is clear: you're broken, you're deficient, and you need to be fixed. That narrative has had a massive impact. It shaped decades of medical training, public health campaigns, and even the way women talk about themselves. It created fear of aging, fear of losing value, fear of being sick. And for too many women, it led to years of unnecessary medications, hormone prescriptions, and dismissive care. This is where functional medicine takes a completely different approach. We don't see menopause as a disease to cure or a problem to medicate away. We see it as a transition to be supported, a season where your life is asking for new kinds of care, deeper nourishment, and a reset of how you live, eat, move, and manage stress. But the damage from that old model runs deep. Think about your own story. How many times have you gone to a doctor with symptoms: brain fog, weight gain, mood swings, hot flashes, only to be told that it's just menopause and handed a prescription or brushed off? How many times have you been made to feel defective when in reality you're going through a completely natural process? Menopause is not the enemy. The real enemy is misinformation. The real enemy is dismissal. The real enemy is a system that turned a natural stage of life into something to be feared instead of understood. And that's why we need this conversation to rewrite the story, to bring back context, and to restore power to the women actually living this experience. Midlife changes aren't just in your head. If you've been told it's normal to feel exhausted after a full night's sleep, to watch belly fat appear out of nowhere, to fight brain fog and mood swings while being told everything looks fine, you've been misled. The truth is, your metabolism has fundamentally changed. Your hormones are in transition, and the old rules no longer apply. That's why I created the Metabolic Reset Summit, Menopause Mastery. I brought together leading experts in hormones, metabolism, and midlife health to give you the real answers you've been searching for. Here's what you'll learn in the summit: why perimenopause and menopause trigger metabolic chaos and how to calm it, how to stop insulin resistance from sabotaging your energy and weight, and the strategies women over 40 are using to reclaim their energy, lose stubborn weight, and think clearly again. You don't have to settle for feeling dismissed, broken, or stuck. Your reset starts now. Go to the metabolicresetsummit.com to get access. I'll see you there. Now let's talk about the phase that's probably causing the most confusion and frustration of all: perimenopause. Medical textbooks define menopause as a single day, the day 12 months have passed since your last menstrual cycle. But that definition completely misses the lived reality for most women, because what you actually experience is years of transition and often years of hormonal chaos leading up to that point. Now, perimenopause is not a gentle glide into menopause. It's hormonal whiplash. Estrogen and progesterone don't decline in a straight line. They spike, crash, and fluctuate wildly, sometimes within the same day. One week you might feel like yourself again. The next you're dealing with night sweats, anxiety, or wondering if you're losing your mind. And here's what almost no one tells you. Perimenopause can start much earlier than you think. Some women begin noticing changes in their mid-30s or early 40s long before they expect it. You might still be having regular cycles and assume everything is fine, but underneath, your hormones are already riding the roller coaster. The symptoms of this phase can be intense and unpredictable. Severe sleep disturbances that leave you dragging throughout your days, mood swings that feel completely out of character, brain fog that makes you second guess your competence, changes in your cycle that don't make sense, and weight gain, especially around the middle, that seems resistant to diet or exercise. And yes, those hot flashes. But perimenopause is about so much more than hot flashes. The tragedy is that when many women go to their doctors with these symptoms, they're often dismissed. Their labs are called normal because traditional blood work only provides a single snapshot in time. And when your hormones are fluctuating hour by hour, that snapshot can be misleading. Or worse, women are told it's stress. They're given antidepressants, or they're told just to wait it out because it's a part of getting older. This is exactly where functional medicine provides a lifeline. Instead of reducing perimenopause to a lab result or a psychiatric issue, we look at the whole picture. How hormones are dancing in relation to your stress levels, how disrupted sleep is feeding into weight gain and mood changes, how your nutrition, your gut health, and even your environment are interacting with your hormonal system. Perimenopause is not a disease, it's a transition. And the symptoms you feel aren't random. They're signals that your body is asking for new strategies, new rhythms, and a new relationship with health. It's asking for a reset. Here's something else nobody prepared you for: the metabolic changes that happen during this transition. Your metabolism doesn't just slow down during menopause, it fundamentally changes. The very operating system of your body is shifting. Think about it this way: the way your body processes carbohydrates changes. Your muscle mass begins to decline faster, which means your calorie burning capacity drops. Your body's preferred fuel sources shift, and your stress response, the system designed to keep you resilient, becomes less efficient. This is why the diet and exercise routine that worked beautifully in your 30s suddenly stopped working in your 40s. It's not because you're lazy or weak or you're doing something wrong. It's because your body has literally changed the way it runs. Now let's zoom in on the hormone that's at the center of this story: estrogen. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone. It plays a role in almost every major system in your body. It influences insulin sensitivity, fat storage, muscle mass, bone density, cardiovascular health, and even brain function. So when your estrogen starts to fluctuate and later decline, every one of those systems feels the impact. Your insulin becomes less sensitive, making weight gain easier. Your muscle breaks down faster while fat storage increases. Your cardiovascular system loses protection. Even your brain chemistry shifts. That's why you don't just get hot flashes. You may also get stubborn belly fat. You may notice changes in your memory or mood. You may feel weaker, more tired, or less resilient. It's all connected. But here's where conventional medicine often fails women. Instead of addressing the metabolic shifts as one interconnected system, the focus is usually on managing individual symptoms. Hot flashes get one prescription, mood changes get another, sleep issues get a third, weight gain often brushed off as inevitable. The problem is when you separate these issues, you miss the bigger picture. These aren't isolated symptoms. They're signs of a body in transition asking for support in a new way. This is where functional medicine reframes the conversation. We don't see these symptoms as separate problems needing separate solutions. We see them as part of a larger metabolic shift that requires a connected approach. That's why a metabolic reset during midlife is so powerful. Instead of fighting against your body, we work with it. We support your new metabolic reality with nutrition that stabilizes blood sugar and reduces inflammation, movement that builds muscle and protects bone, stress management that calms your nervous system, and targeted supplementation that supports your unique physiology. Because when you align with how your body actually works in this season, something shifts. You stop feeling like you're fighting yourself. You stop believing you're broken or doing something wrong. Instead, you realize your body isn't betraying you, it's asking you to evolve with it. Now, let's talk about changing the narrative around this transition. For too long, women have been told to expect menopause to be miserable, to believe it marks the beginning of decline, to see it as something to simply endure rather than embrace. But what if we flip that script? What if, instead of viewing menopause as loss of fertility, loss of youth, loss of vitality, and we reframed it as liberation, liberation from monthly cycles, liberation from the mood swings of those reproductive hormones? What if we saw this transition as an opportunity to reset and optimize our health for the second half of life? Here's what's possible. With the right support, you can start to feel better in your postmenopausal years than you have in decades, when the hormonal chaos of perimenopause settles and you're no longer dealing with unpredictable cycles, when you've learned to work with your new metabolism instead of against it, and when you've addressed the root causes behind your symptoms. But here's the catch. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you understand what your body is going through. It happens when you give your body the support it needs. And most importantly, it happens when you stop accepting that it's just menopause as an answer. This transition is asking you to step into the role as the CEO of your health. That means demanding comprehensive testing that looks beyond surface symptoms. It means refusing to accept it's just menopause as a diagnosis. It means finding providers who will partner with you rather than dismiss you. And it means trusting your intuition about your own body, even when others question it. So, how do you actually do this? How do you move from feeling powerless to taking charge? It starts with a fundamental shift in how you see yourself in this transition. And I'm going to be honest with you, this shift requires you to challenge some deeply ingrained beliefs about your body, your worth, and what you deserve. The first shift is moving from victim to CEO. For too long, you've been conditioned to be a passive patient, to accept whatever diagnosis you're given, to follow orders without question, to believe that someone else knows your body better than you do. You are the expert on your own experience. When you know something isn't right, that knowing matters. When you feel dismissed or unheard, that's information. When a treatment isn't working, you have the right and the responsibility to speak up. The second shift is learning to trust your body's signals instead of fearing them. Your symptoms aren't your enemy. They're not proof that you're broken. They're your body's way of communicating what it needs. That brain fog isn't just an inconvenience, it's a signal that something in your system needs attention. That weight gain around your middle isn't a moral failing, it's data about how your metabolism is responding in this transition. Those mood swings aren't evidence that you're losing your mind, they're feedback about what's happening with your hormones and your stress response. When you start seeing symptoms as data instead of failures, everything changes. You stop fighting with your body and start partnering with it. The third shift, and this is a big one, is refusing to settle for managing your symptoms instead of focusing on thriving. Conventional medicine wants to manage your hot flashes, manage your mood swings, manage your sleep. But management isn't the same as healing. Management keeps you dependent on the system. Healing gives you your life back. This doesn't mean rejecting medical interventions. It means demanding more, asking what's causing this instead of only how do I make it stop. It means seeking out providers who see you as a whole person, not just a collection of symptoms. And here's where I'll challenge you. You must be willing to advocate for yourself even when it's uncomfortable, even when the doctor seems rushed, even when you worry about being difficult, even when it means finding a new provider who actually listens. Because your health is not optional. Your quality of life is not negotiable, and your intuition about your body is not up for debate. The women who transform their life during this transition aren't the ones who quietly accept whatever they're told. They're the ones who ask questions, demand answers, and refuse to believe that feeling terrible is just a part of getting older. They're the ones who understand that this transition isn't happening to them, it's happening for them. It's an opportunity to reset not just their hormones and metabolism, but their entire relationship with their health. When you step into the role of CEO of your health, when you start trusting your body's wisdom, and when you refuse to settle for anything less than vibrant, thriving energy, that's when real transformation becomes possible. The struggles of midlife and menopause are real. The confusion, the dismissal, the feeling like your body has turned against you, all of it is valid. But here's what I want you to walk away with today. These struggles don't have to define this chapter of your life. We've covered a lot of ground in this session. We've looked at how menopause became medicalized and pathologized instead of understood as a natural transition. We've talked about the reality of perimenopause, that hormonal chaos that no one prepared you for. We've explored how your metabolism fundamentally changes during this time and why the old rules no longer apply. Most importantly, we've talked about reclaiming your power and making the mindset shift that changes everything. Understanding what's actually happening in your body during this transition gives you something invaluable: the ability to work with your body instead of against it, the knowledge to demand better care, the confidence to trust your own experience even when others dismiss it. You don't have to accept feeling terrible as your new normal. You don't have to believe that your best years are behind you. And you certainly don't have to navigate this transition alone or without support. This phase of your life is not the beginning of decline. It's an opportunity for the most profound reset you've ever experienced. A reset of your hormones, your metabolism, your energy, your health, and your relationship with your body. But transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you step into the role of CEO of your health, when you refuse to settle for management and demand real solutions, when you're willing to do the work, not just the physical work, but the mental and emotional work of advocating for yourself. The women who thrive during this transition aren't the ones who found the easy path. They're the ones who were brave enough to challenge the narrative they've been given and write a new story for themselves. And I'm going to close with this. Midlife isn't your breakdown, it's your reset. This is your chance to reclaim your energy, your health, and your confidence. And until next time, go out there and achieve more freedom in your health and your life. Take care. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, seal the deal to heal by leaving a review, subscribing to the podcast, and sharing with a friend. Thanks again, and we'll continue the journey next week.